Speaking of trauma, go ahead, tell your name, your title, and title is very important to this episode. So tell all the things.
I'll tell you all the things. I am Arielle, or the internet knows me as Mrs. Frazzled, and I am Heather's friend, which is very important to me. Um, and I don't know, what do we call ourselves these days? Content creator, influencer? I'm not picky.
I literally have this written down as one of my questions because honestly, the title was a big deal in this story about how you literally brought down the leading candidate of California governor's race.
It was insane. And people kept asking me, like, what do you call yourself? And I'm like, I don't know. Because, okay, when you're a teacher,
Yeah.
It's like a personality career, they say, like an identity career. And it's like a big conversation on like the teacher TikTok from which I hail, where I started on the internet. And people, when I quit, they'd be like, you need to get a personality. You need to get a personality. I just never bothered or got around to it. And I never think of myself as anything other than like a teacher, even though I'm not. And I get really irritated when I was in the classroom, people who weren't in the classroom be like, speaking of teachers with themselves in the group, I'd be like, you're not a teacher. But like, I very much.
Do you think that's how like journalists feel right now with content creators? You're not a journalist.
I do. And like, that's another conversation I've had with journalists, because you came from journalism world, didn't you?
Yes. And it's honestly, the whole concept of titles is really confusing to me too, because yes, I actually do have a degree in journalism. I practiced journalism for a long time at both like local news stations in Indiana and then all the way up to nationally known brands in New York City. But I haven't done that in a really long time, and I don't consider what I do in my content creation journey actual journalism.
Yeah.
I think the definition of that is changing, but the reason why I wanted to bring it up is because people, and we can back up a bit and talk about exactly what happened, but people used your title as a teacher, a mother, a content creator, an influencer, all of these things except journalists, to discredit these women and discredit the work that you did in breaking this story. So walk us through what happened.
So I think the humanness of myself is just I just couldn't deal with this. I mean, I got you were on that call, right? Where he posted us on his story being like, we launched the campaign with these content creators and we're really excited.
Mm-hmm.
And I reposted it being like, this was really great, because it was.
And so did I.
Very human.
I reposted it too, and I kind of was talking about it from like a content creation like aspect of it, because Eric Swalwell, who was up until a few weeks ago the leading candidate for governor here in California, who is a longtime congressman, he reached out to content creators first, and that to me signaled a huge change as we were kicking off this midterm election season, because years ago I couldn't get a single elected official to speak to me on my platform, even though I had close to 1 million followers. The tide has changed. And so that to me was actually very exciting. And I posted a video about it, not so much like Swalwell and his policies, but just like, this is exciting. This is exciting for content creation. This is exciting for, influencers or whatever. It just goes to show you how important we are in this space. So yes, I was excited too.
I think I don't know if you've ever had this moment where you're starting to have a conversation with someone, you're like, oh, this could be 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Like
they gave me a timer and I'm like, oh shit.
We may need to hang out, because yes. It is I think this moment in particular is so indicative of what the next election cycle is going to be like, because you and I have been doing this for a few. Yes. And you are so spot on that this is like the first time that we're getting the time of day from candidates. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting, for better or for worse. It's going to be.
See, and I think a lot of this conversation too is like, it felt good. Like, your reaction was kind of the same as like my reaction. It's like, look, we are getting the access. We're giving this information to our audience. This is a good thing. And then all of a sudden it became a nightmare for you. And
well, because people kept reaching out to me immediately, and friends that we have that are mutual friends were like, I had like a really bad experience with this guy. Like, he's a creep. Don't engage. And then like sitting Congress people were like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he's sleeping with his interns. It's a huge issue, like whatever. And it keeps being reported. That's the one thing too. People are like,
I'm laughing because we keep hearing about how everyone knew, and yet no
everyone
one.
knew.
That is the most mind-boggling
I
thing
know.
in this whole situation, is that how for years and years and years people knew of abuse and they did nothing.
And I keep saying that because people are like, well, why did you do what you did? I was like, because that's unacceptable to me. That's
Yes.
crazy.
It's crazy.
He's just a man to me too. Like, I think part of it is that I don't need access to DC
Yeah.
to do what I do.
Right.
I don't need these politicians because for years and years we didn't have them. I can talk about politics and they cannot give me the time of day,
so
and
true.
it doesn't do anything to
So
me.
true.
So he's just a man. So I'm like, what? So they're telling me like, oh, we tried to report this. We tried to do that. In 2016, we had this CNN story and that CNN story in 2019 when he ran for president, and it never broke. So over the months after I post this, I'm like sitting in this soup of like everybody telling me, A, this is just how the Hill is. B, this is just how this man,
How men are.
this is just how men are. And when you start your internship on the Hill or you get your new job right away, they're going to be some women who tell you who to avoid and whatever. So you have that whisper network element that really is what keeps us safe, period. Like for up until this point, the only way women have kept each other safe from men like Eric Swalwell is by this whisper network of telling people who to avoid and what to do. So it ate me up. I was just like, this is not okay. I don't know if you were in the Signal chats where I was literally losing my mind for months. I was like, hey, is anybody talking? Does anybody know if the media is gonna like talk about this? Because whatever. And no. And then I finally was like, if it doesn't break by Friday, I'm saying something. I can't do this anymore.
Was that scary? Because here was my first thought. Because yes, I did see things like I'm in no less than like 17 Signal groups, by the way. And I want to make clear. I want to make clear right now because I do think there is a distinction between a progressive creator and a MAGA creator. Because when the MAGA creators have Signal groups too, as we now know.
Yeah, Ashley St. Clair was like, oh. They sound a little different than ours.
Yeah, exactly. Because they'll get in the Signal group and then they're paid handsomely to be like, all right, here's the message. It's the ballroom. Let's vote, whatever it is. But our Signal groups are so different. No one is this. We're not getting paid, first of all, to be in these groups. I would be really rich if I was paid to be in Signal groups.
I know. And I'm in some official DNC ones, and you'd think you'd get intel there.
No. They're the best. They're the worst gatekeepers. It's like,
I'm like,
I know it's a mess, but there is not like this coordinated effort in our groups. It is just like sharing information. If you want to talk about things, it really is just that kind of stuff. Or who's in town and ready for a happy hour, like,
literally,
I mean?
who's in DC? Never me. Like,
yeah, I know, right? Same. But. So you're in these groups, and the first thing that because I had seen these messages that you had posted and other people as well, and like my first reaction when everything finally came down was, oh my God, how does she know that was real? Because I get so many DMs. I get DMs ranging from dog pics to dick pics to, scams to GoFundMe's to amplify this story in another country that I can't singularly verify is true. And scams as well. Like, how did you know that this was different? And I was really scared for you when it all started coming down. Because, like I said, I've taken media law. Like, you can get in a lot of trouble if it's not right.
I know. All of my lawyer friends. I know. All of my journalism friends, they were like, please don't do this. Because I started in February being like, hey, I'm going to do this. And people were calling me. Like our dear friend, Eliza Orleans literally got on the phone and was like,
love her.
You need to be so sure. You need to be so sure.
Yeah.
You need to she was like freaking out. She was like, you are the sole breadwinner of your house. Like, what if, because people can sue you for anything. And I think the public doesn't understand that you can tell the absolute truth. You can say the sky is blue and somebody can still sue you. And even in an anti-slap law state, even if you're like, it's not slander because it's true, you still have to then hire a lawyer to defend you in a court of law against whatever it is.
Yep.
And that's why it's tricky. And then there's also like, every time you hire a lawyer, I'm sure you know this, but you get on the phone with them and they're like, listen, there's no guarantee that you're going to win. Even if you're saying the sky is blue, they're like, you just never know. And then, so I took out the umbrellas policy on the house as a nice like middle ground. I was like, listen, I'm going to take this policy out. So maybe they can't take the house.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the best. I said in these signal groups too, I said, listen, he's going to have to sue me the whole way. And, my friends were like, being sued isn't fun. And I'm like, listen, I can't do this anymore because this is so egregiously wrong.
Yeah.
And at that point, I knew it was true. And the reason I knew it was true was not just because it was coming from multiple people that I knew, that it was coming from Congress people that I'm friends with and I trust, that it was coming from staffers that I had come to know and trust, but also there was a through line. So one of the things that now I can say, because it's very public, is I would get somebody reach out to me and they would be like, oh, I had this experience with Eric Swalwell, da 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 da. And it would follow a couple of patterns. And one of which was at one point he would move the conversation to Snapchat. And when I heard that, I was like, well, there you go. Because it was independent people from nowhere that kept saying Snapchat. And I was like, well, that's so weird because a 40-year-old man shouldn't have Snapchat. And it's not even something that's on the average person's radar. So there was that. And there was also the pattern of it would be somebody who was interested in politics, who he had offered to help and kind of courted as like, oh, we'll get you a job. We'll get you a this. We'll get you a that. Hey, do you want to have dinner in person? Which at a certain point is like, pretty normal. I mean, I don't know a lot of people, but like, I feel like somebody asking you to get dinner to talk about work stuff is like very normal. But then it's like that is where things would turn weird. And it was an ambitious woman who was trying to break into politics that then he would abuse his power and whatever. So these kind of patterns emerge. And like I said, I don't know if you were recording when I was talking at the beginning, but I like a really scary television show or docuseries. So I know a lot about serial killers.
Yeah. Oh, no. I think we should probably preface she is not alleging.
I am not alleging as a serial killer. I'm just saying that like I have seen a lot of true crime things where I'm like, you gotta make sure that you are like thinking about the patterns of things and you can't just go off of one thing. You have to go off of many things. And there's often when you're collecting stories like this, there's sometimes a through line where you hear things and that independently corroborates the stories. So parallel to this was taking my very first baby journalism cohort thing. I think it's the news creator NCC is what it's called. Sorry, team.
There's so many of these cohorts.
But it was so enlightening because they're talking about things like FOIA requests and they're talking about things like journalistic ethics and like how it works to go through the process of vetting a story. And I was like, okay. And I started talking to established reporters, people who have the network and the knowledge and have done this for years. Because one thing in organizing, they tell you is like, you don't bust into a space and then act like you know everything and say, I'm going to do it all by myself. No, you rely on established organizations. And I was applying that concept to journalism. Like they have a wonderful network at their disposal. And I think this is one way that content creators and journalists can be symbiotic because I can do things they can't and they can do things I can't. And I have such respect.
I don't think that either one of us exists without the other at this point.
Exactly.
And
not anymore.
And there's such a division. There's such a, did you go to the DNC back in 2024?
No, but I heard all about it. I wasn't cool enough then.
I was barely cool enough. I paid $4,000 of my own money and to get there by myself. I know. No one wants to talk about this. The difference between
the left and the right, fam.
This is the difference. But no, it's because, and I think that there's a good distinction in that too, because like we are genuinely, for the most part, doing this out of the goodness of our hearts because we care.
Literally.
Literally. But that was the beginning, because I've been doing this since 2020. So now it's been 6 years. So 4 years into my content creation career journey, whatever you want to call it. I use career lightly because, like I said, I was making negative monies. Okay. But the line was drawn in the sand, I think, at that event, because it was the first time that the journalism world was like, oh, fuck. These people are coming in here trying to take our jobs, take our access, take everything. And it's been 2 years now removed. I think the lines are blurring, but there's still that line in the sand. And I truly, 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 even though I don't consider myself a journalist, could not do funny skits, could not do my explainers, could not get up on stage and do my stand-up without the facts that come from journalism.
Yes, it is so clutch. And of course, there are bad actors in the space. Of course. But like, when I do my quick breaking news or direct to cameras or whatever I'm doing, I always make sure that I have the publication, the author, the headline, the date.
It drives me insane when people don't do that.
It's so easy. The screenshots on your Google News fit perfectly in it's perfect. So, and it has it all. So it like formats it for your freaking phone. Just do it. But like, I have such even a deeper respect now for investigative journalism, because I witnessed Allison Gordon at CNN freaking crush it. I mean, like I was talking to a lot of reporters as I went public. Like I said, I was going to, I posted his name. People thought I was crazy, but I was getting a lot of inbound from from journalists and from people who had experience with Swalwell, lawyers who wanted to help pro bono. And I was drowning. And I met Allison Gordon just on the phone, and she was so patient and lovely and knowledgeable. And she didn't even ask for the exclusive. I was like, listen, Allison, you're going to get everybody, because I can't do this. And CNN has the historical knowledge. They're the ones that worked on the story in 2016 and 2019 to the most. Like, there was other publications, but CNN had it like so close. And I was like, ooh, you have that, and you have the legal team and the investigative bandwidth and all of this. And man, she chased it down. Granular. When that story came out, when CNN dropped that story, I was marveling at how long it was. And just, you were scrolling and it's like receipt.
But
and
this
I was
is
like,
what you need. And this
is airtight.
And this is I don't want to say it's a problem, but this is one of our limitations as content creators. We also don't have no resources. I don't think anybody realized this. Like, everybody, we're all singular, first of all. This idea that we are all just connected. Like, I wish we had a Daily Wire or something. Well, no, because then we just become a cult. But you know what I'm saying? I wish we had a little more infrastructure and help with this kind of stuff. We are all just working independently, which in some regards is very beautiful, but it does have a lot of limitations. Yeah.
And like, I'm so thankful that we have kind of made DIY coworkers where like, you know, we're kind of doing the same. It's like parallel play in the sandbox, you know, it's like,
that's the most kindergarten teacher analogy you could have possibly come up with. I love it.
See, it's ingrained in the personality. The haters said get a personality, and I said I can't.
What does that even mean, get a personality?
I don't know. You know how they are on the internet. I'm like, I think this is my personality, friends. You know, it was just like such a cool experience. I mean, but at the same time, it was so overwhelming. I was calling journalists and I was like, I have nothing new for you, but how are you doing this? Like, do you have a vice? Like, and a lot of them were like, no, I'm sober now because I wasn't.
No, I have a vice. It's wine, red wine.
Yeah, I'm a Sauv Blanc girl, but they were like, you will get away from that eventually. I'm like, well, maybe when Trump dies, I'll go sober, but not now.
Every time I try to go sober, something outrageous happens.
I know, exactly.
Like, I was on Saturday. We're filming this Tuesday, right after the White House Correspondents Dinner. It's Tuesday. It's fucking Wednesday. It's Wednesday.
Oh my God Almighty!
This is how bad my brain is. It's Wednesday. No, we are filming this the week after the White House Correspondents Dinner. That Saturday, I was like, you know what? Tonight, I'm gonna take a bath.
Did you go?
No, I did. I was in DC for some of the events leading up to it, but I was back.
Nice.
Yeah. What is that?
I got a mosquito. Sorry.
Wait, I saw on your was it TikTok? One of your stories that
There
you had
are a
like
lot of mosquitoes in here.
yeah, well, it's spring now, so that's not great.
Horrible.
But
Anyways.
anyway, I was trying to be sober on Saturday, and then all the news came about the shooting, and I was like,
I know.
looks like I'm just gonna have to have some wine.
Crack that baby open. I even asked my therapist, I was like, so I'm like having a glass of wine almost every night. And she was like, just a glass?
Just
Okay.
yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah. What do you want me to do?
Glass.
Prescribe you a friggin' Xanax instead? No.
No, I don't know. It's
Exactly.
a lot. Maybe one of these days he'll allow us to be sober.
When he dies, I'll go sober.
That sounds nice.
My kids will be able to say, Mommy and Daddy haven't drank since Trump was alive. But anyways, I digress. Yeah, it was just like a whole thing. So when that story came out, my phone was like hot from, I mean, I thought my phone was going to melt. It was so hot. It was just constant. And it's still happening. People think it's over. It's not. There's
over.
Supposed to be something dropping today. 2 different stories are out to comment.
I don't know what they are.
Swalwell's team.
Oh, interesting. Now, because you're so involved in this, are you getting these scoops before? I have kind of been, I have been separated from it, to be honest, because I never was looking for, like, I don't consider myself a journalist either. Right.
So I really was getting inbounds from people and just immediately directing them to our reporter and to our lawyer. I was like, thank you for coming, like, forward. Here's your people who can give you options and like you can talk to, and I'm here for you if you need anything. And then oftentimes we would just kind of like shoot the shit or whatever. Like I never, as somebody who's gone through this kind of thing myself, I just didn't want anybody to feel like a piece of meat or like a story. Like it's not the story. Shit happens to us, but it doesn't make us, I just don't like when it feels like people are hovering, trying to get something out of you. And I never wanted anybody to feel that way. So I was passing it along, and now it's kind of like taken a life of its own. There's like, a group of women who they are now supporting each other. I'm able to direct people to them. If I get anything, I've gotten a lot less. And like, I'm not really doing press on it. Like I'm talking to you, like my friends and stuff about elements of this that are super, super important. But I just, I have tried hard to not be the one getting the scoop. Now that we know where to send stories,
fair.
Those are the people who can handle it responsibly and like talk about litigation and talk about follow-up stories.
Because you're not a lawyer either.
No, I don't know diddly squat. I'm just here to bang pots and pans and be like, listen, you aren't alone. And I know that this man made you feel like the only person this happened to, but you're not. There is so many people that this man doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground at this point, because he has done this to so many people. We're talking hundreds of people have probably been approached by this man. So
hundreds?
Oh, at least hundreds. I mean, I at one point was saying, if we do the math on this, I would, over the past decade, probably 1,000, because like the volume of which this man just throws shit at the wall to see what sticks. I mean, he is just throwing spaghetti at these women, and it's like,
God.
I would not be shocked. Hundreds, easy.
Was it surprising to you that the same day that Swalwell resigned, after his non-apology and then my mistakes and then eventually dropping out of the race and then eventually coming down and resigning from Congress, was it surprising to you that you also took down Tony Gonzales out of Texas too?
I mean,
because that was
it
crazy
was very
to me.
surprising to me, because I was very surprised
Me
by
too.
a lot of it.
Me too, because one of the first things that came to my mind when that day that the news came out was my husband was like, well, the guy from Texas isn't going to resign. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, why? I mean, I know why, because Republicans don't put the same amount of pressure. What we saw, again, not a cohorted effort from every one of our like friends and everyone that we consider progressive, content creator, and even members of Congress, they're like, get out, goodbye. So don't let the door hit you on the way to jail situation. But Republicans don't do that. And specifically in Texas, they didn't want Tony Gonzales to resign from his seat because they may have lost the House. Like, it is that dirty. It is that gross. It is that gross. And so when that news came down that he was also resigning, because they can't just look like hypocrites and point fingers at Eric Swalwell and then not at their own side, I was like, damn, Miss Frazzle, your body count is so high.
I was dying. And you know what I had kind of known from who was talking to me about this, because let's just say there's a reason that Congress people were telling content creators what they were telling them.
Jeez,
I was asked a lot, do you feel like after this broke, I had the funniest conversations with journalists who very clearly do not know what it's like on the creator side, because they were like, and I was so offended by this the first time somebody said it to me, but then I realized that it's normal. They were like, we were on the record, and they were like trying to ask me about all of this, how it came to be, because I was at this time being accused of being paid by Katie Porter, which is so funny. There's a whole side tangent with the press.
How
and,
dare
the
you have
Oppo
one
research.
photo with her? How dare you do that?
It was hilarious. I mean, the week leading up to the story breaking was so pandemonium, but I was on the phone on the record, and they were like, I get sent things all the time as a journalist where I have to decide what is true and what is false. And I didn't realize that campaigns literally will feed Oppo to the media, because that's a kind of symbiotic relationship that they have where like they know how to engage with the media. So they'll send like stories or tips or whatever. I personally don't get that. I know there are content creators who do. Definitely not the teacher or content creator though. So that was a foreign thing to me, and I was so offended. I was like, no, why would they? I was like, how dare you question the integrity of these staffers that have met me? And they were like, well, have you talked to the campaigns? And I was like, of course I talked to the campaigns. I interview all of them. So I'm like, I've become very friendly with all of the campaigns for the most part. Right. So, I was like, it doesn't mean, like, how dare you? They're very above board. And then I was like, then I realized that like there's branches of the campaign that actually do. I found out what Oppo research was when it was being done to me. They were compiling a file for me. And I was like, LOL, one of the reasons I could do this is because I'm clean as a whistle, baby.
Wait,
You're not going to find shit.
Have you never watched like Veep? Or
no, should I? I need to watch Veep and Scandal, I've been told.
Oh, Scandal
and Parks and Rec.
Okay, yes. Oh, definitely Parks and Rec. Girl, I need to send you a whole list. Just the Handmaid's Tale and things that'll scare you.
Just anything that I can find that absolutely horrifies me to my core.
I do think though that like a show like Veep, it's actually a documentary.
Oh my God.
It's not. It's a comedy, but it's like because it's satire, and also with the Trump 2.0 administration, like some of the things that happen in that show, you're like, wait, what? And it's so ridiculous, but they just shine a light on it in such a funny way. But yeah, Oppo research and the dirtiness of politics, it is. When I really sit down and think about it, I'm sometimes, very often I wake up and I'm like, why do I do this?
I know.
Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
But we do. And
it's good to know that somebody else feels the way that I feel sometimes.
Sometimes. I mean, it is an up and down roller coaster, like the content creation game. I wonder if it's like that in like beauty or like travel blogging or something like that.
I should have started a slime account. I always say I should have gone into like making ASMR slime, but like I did try the lifestyle stuff for exactly 2 weeks. And you know what? I hated it because people would criticize me as a mother and a person instead of criticizing my politics.
Ooh,
and I couldn't hang. I hated it. I think lifestyle bloggers are the bravest soldiers in a lot of ways, but they also now have started to fully avoid politics because it's baked into their contracts, and it enrages me. So I stopped, my opinions are fluid, but no, I couldn't handle it.
Yeah. Wow. That's really interesting. I also too think that like, I don't know that I could ever be silent. You know what I mean?
I can't.
Like, even if I was just like, even if tomorrow I was like, we're done with politics, I'm becoming a travel blogger. That's just not me. Like, I would just, I would just integrate it in, and I would just get angry. And honestly, the whole reason I started a TikTok in the first place was because I was just screaming at my husband. Not at him because he did anything wrong, but because this was during COVID and we were just trapped together, and we're watching Trump every single day, and I'm just screaming into a void, and he's there and he's like, "Babe, can you please just like scream on the internet instead?" That was his idea, by the way.
Oh
and
my God.
that's how it started. And so it's just so funny
So
to like,
funny.
I don't think I still think I would just be screaming. Maybe to
I
my
would-
therapist.
Well, it's so funny that you say that because I think my family and friends are so thrilled that I got off of my personal Instagram stories and started posting it to the internet because I was doing the literal
Yeah.
same direct to camera ranting on my little baby Instagram stories. And I think once I found an outlet elsewhere, they were like,
Yeah. I was just honestly for maybe like for at least 4 years before I ever like posted my first video on my own like channels, I would be in the comment section of my Facebook and just like arguing with old racist high school like acquaintances and uncles and stuff like that. The comments would be hundreds deep, and it was honestly, I call it the first kind of the iteration of my content, because I would come with the facts, I would come with the stats, and I would link things for people, and eventually it just turned into videos. But like, oh no, this is who I am, and I think I just have to accept it.
Yep. It's kind of, and not to bring it back to the same thing I keep bringing it back to, but you know, one of the things that my podcast co-host and I have said is that unfortunately teaching is the only thing we can do and the only thing we want to do. And if we could do anything else, we would. And I've heard similar sentiments when I was in the theater space. Unfortunately, once you get a certain bug, no matter how many times it kicks your ass and you wake up in the morning and you're like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Or you're like drinking a glass of wine at 5 p.m. because you're like, the news cycle has you downtrodden.
Yep.
The fact is, there is nothing else to do. And there's nothing else I want to do. And there's nothing else I'm willing to do. And, you know, it's not shocking to me that my stint as a lifestyle creator lasted exactly 2 weeks because I cannot and will not shut up. And I'm driven like a motor for it. And I think you're the same way.
But how, what is the feeling? Is it rewarding? Is it, you tell me, I'm not going to put words in your mouth.
I don't know.
No, but I mean, but specifically with this Swalwell incident, because like, this is a massive thing. Was a massive thing that you were able to accomplish. How does that make you feel? Oh, hold on.
It like doesn't make me feel anything. It's like so sad, but people keep asking me, like, how do you feel? Like, this is huge. This is huge. And I don't know that I can even grasp it. I don't know if it's just too abstract for me or what, but like,
it's also very serious too.
It's
like
so
it's
serious.
Such
I
a
just
serious
cried.
thing. Yeah.
I was just like sobbing for 2 days straight.
I bet.
mean, literally, when the story came out, the first story that broke was actually the San Francisco Chronicle because they a little bit scooped. But we were on a call, me and the three. So it was 3 of us in a group chat. It was me, Cheyenne, and Annika, who were like the 3. We could not have accomplished this without each other. And we were on a Zoom call and we weren't expecting it to break, and it did. And we just all started crying. Yeah. And like
relief then. That sounds like relief.
I think relief is the closest thing, but at the same time, it's so sad because it's like there's so few times that we see any semblance of consequences for these men. And you know, one thing that I said to somebody because like I told you, there have been people who have been trying to get him to face any semblance of a consequence for like over a decade. And it's been very, very emotional for them. And I was talking to one who's a man who had tried to report this to his superiors when he worked on the Hill over and over and over again, and was just met with like a brick wall. And he was very upset when the news broke, in particular, that there was more people coming forward and that he felt like he couldn't stop it, even though he wanted to. And I said, you know what? I hear ya, but I know that you tried. And as somebody who went through an assault from somebody at work. I never saw that man face justice ever. He just was moved to a different school. He wasn't fired. He faced no disciplinary action. He just went around continuing to say that I'm crazy and all of this, whatever. But what I did get, what my only semblance of justice was people, men in particular, who said, no, I believe her. And that was so monumental to me. And I think I would have lost my mind completely if I hadn't had people who just said, no, I believe her. Why would she lie? And like supported me in that way. When I wasn't in the room, was saying to people that they believed me. I mean, that was the only justice of any kind that I got. So for so many years, these women who experienced things from Swalwell, that was what they had. And I imagine, while it's maddening to not have them face actual consequences, there is that bright spot. And that's something that really drove me throughout this whole thing, is remembering what it was like to try to talk about what had happened to me and people just not listening. And I could not, in good faith, show up to the Hill and do all this DC shit and walk through the halls of the House of Representatives and all of this stuff. Like, if he won governor, I couldn't go to Sacramento or do these events. I just couldn't pretend like I didn't know what I knew, and I didn't want to. And I wasn't going to do this anymore if I couldn't break it. So it was either he was going to sue my ass off, or what was going to happen was going to happen. Now, I didn't expect him to face consequences to this degree, because how often does it happen? So that's me ranting.
How sad is that, though, that it is rare when we believe women. It is rare, even, I mean, you're right. Most of the time, even if you're believed, it's just like push it under the rug, no consequences. And this is from the very tippy top of our politics and going down into every single aspect of our culture. We literally have the alleged pedophile president, you know?
And we're supposed to be better.
Yes.
That's the thing, too.
Yes.
Dems are supposed to be better. And if we're not going to be, then what are we doing? You know? And I was really heartened to see how many people had already been working on this behind the scenes that mobilized fast. The only reason this man was ousted is because there were a lot of people on the back end, women in Congress, who had been pounding the pavement and banging their heads against the wall to get this out. Because, yeah, there's people that cheat in DC. Of course there are. But this isn't cheating. This is like crimes and felonies. So it's like, you know, it moved so fast because it was an open secret. It was something that people had been moving on.
I wonder if, and then we can, you know, tying it back to what we started a conversation on, I wonder if we'll ever get to a place where our like media ecosystem can stop fighting with each other and also just like help each other. Because what you just said, it's so true. Like, there were people behind the scenes that you didn't know about. There were people who've been fighting for this story specifically, and think about how many other stories, you know, people fight for every single day. They do the groundwork. It gets picked up by a local news station, which reaches can only go so far. That gets picked up by a content creator that can like blast it. Like, I just wonder if we will ever get to a place where stories like this won't get missed. If we could just work together. What do you think?
I think we can. I think we have to. And I think that when we look at the next election cycle, it's going to be more things. Not like necessarily in the same vein, but there's always going to be stuff that we as content creators can say that the media can't.
Correct.
Even if they want to. And I think if we can do that ethically, because people will be like, well, how did you ethically do that? How did you do that? And I'm just like, well, I'm just a person. Like, I don't know. Like, I had the receipts. I saw what I needed to see, and I knew it was true. So I just said it. But, you know, that's the benefit, is that you don't have. So, you know, being independent is hard, but it's also a benefit when it's like, I am just a person trying to do the right thing. And, you know, so I have that ability to operate as an individual. But the resources that journalists have are so, so, so clutch, because with especially sensitive information like this, you can't just blast it on the internet and expect it to be handled appropriately. You have to, when things are this serious, go through the appropriate channels and lean on each other. And, after this broke, I had journalists calling me saying, and I quote, "They're afraid of you." And I said, "Why are they afraid?" And I said, "Who's they?"
Yeah.
And they said, "Well, politicians, campaigns, the media, like everybody is very now shaken because I had one person say, somebody came up to me and said, "I think we underestimated Frazzled." And I was like, "What the fuck? No." And then
I kind of love
"No."
that for you, badass.
I know, but I was like, but I'm just trying to do the right thing. And, I was told that it's because campaigns know how to deal with the media. They know how to send a cease and desist,
Right.
threaten them legally. They know how to call their editor and cuss them out, but they don't know what to do with us. So we've seen them attempt a few things. We saw them try to run Oppo research on me, which is not the first time this has happened with a content creator who's speaking up. We've seen them try to fight on social media, which is never going to work. We've seen them try to discredit us by calling us content creators or influencers or whatever they want to say. And, I've had them try to just lie to my face, and I'm like, that's not going to work. They don't know what to do with us. And that is unsettling in a world that has been so symbiotic with the traditional media for so long. Because of course there are wonderful journalists who are doing wonderful work.
Amazing.
There's also people and we're seeing the media capitulate to Trump, and we're seeing
over and over. We're losing these trusted institutions, and it started at the bottom. I'm sure you know, because you're in education, but I mean, local newspapers and local news stations have been bought up by billionaires for decades now. And now we're seeing the CBS take over. Now we're seeing the Paramount and Warner Brothers, even though that seems like entertainment. Trust, your news organizations are on there too. So it is a frightening time just in general in our media ecosystem. I want to bring up one more thing that you said, which kind of sparked something in me. You said, politicians don't know how to handle content creators and the fact that they underestimated you. I do think, and this is coming from every time I've just started posting interviews, because we already discussed this. We're just now getting these powerful people to come onto our platforms because they're figuring it out. But every time I do an interview, people think it's an endorsement. And that to me is also what's really wrong and interesting about this space, is because that word underestimated, because if it's on my platform, you think that I endorse it. And that's why I don't like the term political influencer, because anything that I put out there, you think I'm for. And that may not always be the case. And also, when politicians come on influencers' platforms, they think it's going to be friendly. And that may not be the case. So it is just such an interesting little time we're in a very, very consequential time we're in right now, where our systems are changing.
They are, and they have to, because I think to your point of these billionaires buying up these publications. This is a moment where the little journalists who may seem like they are at the bottom of the whatever hierarchy, they can be with us, and we can work together to get the actual truth. And I've been very emotional with the State of the Union thing, and the fact that our press was locked in a room when there was somebody trying to come in with a gun. I mean, then they got locked in there. And
watching the White House correspondents?
Yeah, yes, watching just watching everybody's different reactions to that, and watching different people come out of it different ways. It was quite interesting to see
I cried.
Split.
Yeah. I cried when I watched it. I watched it live when it happened. I was supposed to just spend my Saturday with a glass of wine. I had just gotten back from DC. I had just gotten back from all those events, and I knew friends that were there, and I saw it on the news. I called my husband, he was picking up food for us, and I was like, holy shit. And then I just kind of sat there and cried for a minute. Not that, it ended up being okay. Like, it ended up that only one person got hurt, no one was killed. It wasn't as big of a deal as we've seen play out in shooting situations, which thank God. But it's just the crack. It's just like the cracking of our institutions. It's just like what this means. It's just that we are not safe from any violence or any abuse of power or any of this. It just gets me down every single day. And every time I grab that glass of wine at 5 p.m., although that's a little late for me, I'll be honest. Every time I grab that glass of wine, I have a little front yard, I guess, and sit in my chair, and I'm like, what am I doing?
I know.
And then you just realize that if you don't do something, it's going to get worse.
Yeah, I mean, people, every time stuff like this happens, they're like, okay, are you going to stop? Like, every time something comes up negative, they're like, are you going to stop? No, because I can't. Because if I could, I would have by now. But like, even, and not to take it there, but even with the Charlie Kirk of it all.
Oh my God, that was horrific.
Because you realize that political violence it's very, very prevalent, and it comes up a lot when you think about, I go to those events.
Yes.
Like, we have the Unfuck America tour that follows Charlie Kirk around, and then after he raps, gets on stage and does the exact same thing, essentially. So, or under the tent or whatever you want to call it. But it is a vulnerable position to be in, to realize that, like, there are people that hate you and hate what you're trying to do.
Yes.
And so it's the same thing with the White House Correspondents Dinner, where it's like, sure, it doesn't matter to me what side of the aisle the violence or the threat of violence is coming from, because it is such a reality in our country. And we see such a spirit of conspiracy, which we have research on, that this conspiracy theory thinking that is so ingrained now into politics actually bolsters political violence. It throughout history, movements which are aligned with people that are very conspiratorial, that also that boosts the threat, and it's scary. So
it is scary.
I think we need the press to work with us in any way that we can, because I think we're way stronger together. And I think that that's really what freaks them out, is that they can't control the media because they can't control all of us.
Right. Which in a sense is so much better for democracy. Because when you look at the other side and their cohorts, and we've talked a lot about like influencer and creator culture, that was the reason I wanted to talk to you about this, because you are so smack dab in the center of this huge story as a creator, this huge story, what it means for journalists. Like, we're in such a weird pivotal crossroads in America and our media ecosystem right now. But when you look at the other side and you look at the cohorts that tell them exactly what to say, and you can just see, you don't have to take my word for this. Just go and look at all of their tweets and see how they are copy and pasted. And you realize that, like, we don't have that same, we're not in a cult. Like, I call it a cult because it kind of is.
It is.
And we are not that way. It's better for democracy when we can remain independent, but we can work with institutions that have far more resources than we ever will.
Yeah, I mean, this is really a scary time, and I think there's a lot of people doing whatever they can. And I think that since we have those connections available to us, it's great to use them, and we should, and we must.
I agree. I have 2 more questions for you. One, I meant to ask this to you at the top, but were you inspired by the Magic School Bus for your name?
So in the sense that when I started on social media, as you know, I was on Teacher. At the time, I was on Teacher Instagram, and I was very frustrated.
Oh, is that called Teacher Talk?
It was called Teacher Graham on that side of things.
Okay.
Before the TikTok. So I was very frustrated as a first-year teacher, because at the time, especially, Instagram is very polished. So I was watching all of these people with these perfect lesson plans and perfect room transformations. And there was this academy that like does room flips, and it's very extravagant and perfect. And when I got into teaching, I was like kind of expecting that I'd be able to do that. And I was like, this isn't like that at all. There's a lot of paperwork and a lot of talking to people. And this isn't what I thought. So I said that it was before you could say like I'm a type B, blah, 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 because that wasn't like in the vernacular as much. But it was that I'm more frazzled than Miss Frizzle. And I was like, that's hilarious. So I like put my face on her little school bus thing.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like I think I stole it from like one of those like Little Miss Sunshine memes. It was like, it was like that. And that was, wild. I just kept it because once I got to TikTok, I didn't want anybody, sorry, like drop my mic, everyone. I didn't want anybody to know that I was doing it because it was like weird for me to be on the internet.
It's weird to start on the internet. That's so true.
So weird. I didn't want anybody to find me. I didn't want anybody to know. But then like the New York Times was like, hey, we're doing a thing for teachers who are teaching on kindergarten on Zoom, and you're talking about it online. Do you want to be in the story? And I was like, yeah, but can we like use my pseudonym? And they were like, no, you can use your name or bye, because I was nobody at the time.
This is the vetting process of the institutions.
And I was like, my name is Arielle. And then that was it.
So that's how we became. Wow, I love hearing your lore. That's awesome. Okay,
lore.
This is a very, very not important question, but I have been dying to know. I have been waiting on your stories. Did you get your $675 back?
No, well, not from the person. So you guys, during the Swalwell of it all, I literally paid my editor out the butt to be like, hey, I can't keep the channel afloat because I'm like a little bit dying.
Yeah.
So I just was filming a bunch of stuff and kicking it to him. And I ended up racking up $675 of videos.
As it's easy to do. It's easy to do.
Easy to do. And I accidentally, don't know how I did this. I was crazed after the story came out and sent the money to a bartender from the DNC Act Blue party from December, whose name was like King Wilson. And I was like, that's not even close to the editor's name. Because he texted me, my editor Miles was like, hey, did you get that invoice? No rush, but just check in. And I was like, I paid it. And then I opened it and I was like, oh, fuck.
Oh my God, did your heart just sink? Because I feel like
I almost threw up.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
Oh my God. So I took to the internet to like figure out how many feet pics I was going to have to sell. I was texting my management team and I was like, do we have a connection at Cameo? Maybe I could just do $20 cameos until I get $675. And my followers literally I linked the shirts that I sell and I linked my Substack. And I was like, I'm not going to get out of here and grift, but like, these are the two things I do sell is shirts and Substack. And they bought it back. They like replaced my $675 by the end of 24 hours. And I was like, I'm going to cry. I was like, that is so nice. So now we can just think of it as if I'm going to send it to my CPA as a donation.
Yeah. And
maybe he really, really needed the money and whatever.
I love that though, that like, this is the relationship that creators have. It's the whole reason I'm talking to you in the first place. It's the whole reason that these two men are out of office is because creators have a relationship with their audience, and you proved it in such a massive way. You proved it in, well, I'm not saying that $700 lost isn't massive.
No, but they gave it back. Dude, I was like, my followers.
I know it really does feel like a community and a family, and you have built the trust. And I believed you. Like, there are so many grifters on the internet that's like, buy my stuff and la 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 la. No, but you told the whole story and people believed you, and that's just who you are.
And I would have sold feet for it. For the record. I was ready to do Cameo. I've always avoided Cameo because people make my skits into like sex things. Like I used to shotgun Starbucks. Yes. I used to like shotgun my Starbies and it got put on like a PORN website. I don't know if you can say, I guess, whatever, porn. But like I was like, I can't do anything. So I didn't want to do Cameo because I don't want people to do like weird stuff with it. because without my consent,
Oh my
that's
God.
like odd.
Every time I hear about these things, I'm just like, what are we doing? I don't even know. I don't even want to
it.
know where my videos are. Jesus
I
Christ.
know. The internet's a hellscape.
It is,
But
and it's getting
yeah,
worse with
I was
AI.
ready to do it. Oh
That's
my God, I know. The last time I tried to do Twitter, I got AI'd really inappropriately, and I was like,
I know.
I'm gonna go.
The last time I tried to do Twitter too, I hadn't posted it in like a year. And then I posted one video there because it was kind of going viral on all of the platforms. And I'm like, well, let's just post it here too. It went viral. And the first 3 comments were about as heinous, misogynistic, violent as you could possibly be. And I was like, cool, you know what? That was a fun little experiment. We're not going to do that again.
Bye.
Yeah, peace, bye. But not to end on that lovely note.
No. Stay safe out there, kids.
Yes, please do. Where can everybody find you to support your work in case you send invoices to the wrong people again?
LOL.
I've done it too.
I know, it's horrible. I'm Mrs. Frazzled on literally everything. I will haunt you wherever you scroll. So pick your favorite, pick your poison, but not Twitter.
But not Twitter. As we've established, Twitter is gone. Technically, I can't not call it X. That's the thing.
I know.
All right.
I can't get on that.
All right.
Whatever.
And listen, if you don't watch, if by the next time I see you in person, you haven't watched Parks and Rec, we're no longer friends, by the way.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Writing it
You're
down.
like, I didn't want to be your friend anyway.
No. Oh my God.
You have to. It's a turn off your brain, but it's still politics. It's so funny. You should. I don't even know what platform it's on right now. One of the main ones that we have to pay for.
Find
I'm
it.
sure. Yeah, we'll find it. I love you. Thank you for everything that you do. I will see you with a glass of wine in hand soon, I'm sure.
Heck yeah.